everyone. Chris Newhart, Lawrence Wright, and Ronnie Riggs here with Legacy League Productions and Soul Central Magazine, TV, and radio. And we just want to give a shout out to Mark Rowe. Go global or stay local.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Chris Newhart and Lawrence here, and we're here with Ronnie Riggs for a brand new, different episode of Con Artists. And shout out to Soul Central Magazine, Guerrilla Mafia Media, and Legacy League Productions. We're here on location in Mr. Riggs' workshop. And,
with the man.
For real.
Well, Ronnie Riggs, let me explain what I know. He has worked on every movie from Marvel, I know he did Thor, took a little break, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 on.
Yeah.
So everything you see as far as props, everything you see that's mold making, this is the man right here. So
Wow.
yes, we're geeking out right now. So this is the man.
Okay. I'll take that.
So here's the cool thing. So my day job is I'm a parts grunt. So he comes in, he says, I need to make a vacuum, right? Vacuum chamber to suck out the bubbles from my my silicone. I said, are you in molds? He starts mentioning Avengers, all my superhero, my Marvel stuff. And I was like, dude, do you know what I do for a living when I'm not here selling parts? And we bonded right there. Yeah. So me and him, he's a good dude. We stayed in touch. And it's a blessing that I have this guy in my life.
It was a chance meeting because I was just trying to start to step out on my own a little, trying to kind of, the dreams came true with the film and everything, and now I want to go back to my roots of where my passion is. So I put this shop together here in my home, and so he helped me actually find the fittings to that vacuum chamber right there.
Look at that Teflon tape, man. That's what I sold to him.
And that made this, that's why we're all in this room today.
For real.
I'm the blue-collar comic artist right there. My writer told me one time, he says, Lawrence, you're the only guy that has a pipe cutter next to his art table. I said, yes. That is so true.
Yeah, so that took all of about 5 minutes for him to figure out what plumbing I needed. But I was sitting there for probably about an hour and a half because that's all we were talking about.
I know, we started geeking out about movies and stuff.
And people over at the other counter were peeking up at us. Oh, this is a place of business. Like, maybe I'll leave now.
I didn't care.
Sir.
We're having too much fun here.
I'm talking Groot, man. It's Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Get the F out of here.
That's how it started.
It was cool, man. And then he came back like 2 or 3 more times, and I said, "Hey, man, we got this idea for a show. We got to interview you." And then we went to FanX, which we pretty much took over FanX. But the first person I found was Ronnie. He said, "Ronnie, you got 5 minutes? Let's do an interview, man."
Yeah.
For real. Why don't you tell people what got you into the love of making props, and how did you start off in something that to me is sophisticated and amazing, and like really a lot of the magic that's behind the movie, whether it's a prop that someone holds or wears, or like you were talking a little bit earlier that you work on whole sets of props. Like, could you explain how you got into that? Like,
it was just one of those things. As a kid, I was very literal, and I didn't really think it was this way, but I thought, wouldn't that be neat? Sitting in a movie theater, my family were just movie fanatics. We loved to go see movies together, and my brother that's just older than me, we really like to do special effects, so I'm surprised we never burnt the house down or anything like that.
Especially back then.
Yeah, some gas cans did explode and stuff like that. But sitting in the theater, I would look and I go, wouldn't that be neat if you could just walk behind the screen and see what's going on behind the camera?
Wow.
And that's
cool.
It just never left my head. And my parents were big Disney fanatics, so in 1955 when it opened, I'm the youngest of 5. So they went to Disneyland in 55, about a month or so after it opened. It opened in July of 55. And so I came up just knowing Disney, and we would go to Universal Studios, and I was just, wow, just floored by this stuff. And just a passion. And then long story short.
So the mechanical side.
Everything. The props, just everything. And then just long story short, I was with the family business. Mid had a kind of a prominent construction company in Vegas. And when my parents were out of picture and they passed away, siblings, that didn't work out. So the business tanked, and then I was like, I had to start over, and I was in my 30s, and I was like, why not do this prop stuff?
Wow.
So I started my own business, went to LA, and I had a little bit of cash saved, and it was just happened to be, this 98. It just happened to be a slow year in films, and so all these really great model and mold makers were available, and they came to work for me for about half what they worked for.
Wow.
Dude, that is
So I just
badass.
made some really good connections, and then I ran my business, which I did Halloween props. The special effects stuff was very competitive in LA, so it's in there. The people that were doing it, like the Rick Bakers and Stan Winston, I couldn't compete with them, so I was doing these Halloween props, which ended up being pretty cool. You know, I manufactured and would wholesale Halloween props, so I got to meet some really cool people on that. You know, like the Fangoria and those kind of.
Oh, Fangoria! Remember the old magazine?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
I guess they're gonna reprint that. I just saw some on the internet.
Really?
Yeah, they're gonna.
Nice.
Oh, that's just made my day, man. Fangoria was a bomb.
It was one of the original founders. One of the guys, not the founders, but one of the guys that started out with Rick Baker and Stan Winston and those guys.
I had the old episode, issue. I think it was like 187. It's a Swamp Thing issue, the first movie.
Oh,
Right,
I still got it near
I
me.
grew up on Swamp
I
Thing.
still have it in my
Yeah,
name.
that's cool.
Talking about language, man.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, I met a lot of these people, and then so '98, I had the business there, and I wasn't really getting any effect stuff. So I'm like, I just moved. I was born and raised and lived in Vegas still at the time. I was just living out of hotels and running the business there, and it was like, nah, move to Vegas. So I did that, and then in 2002, one of the guys who worked for me in LA called up and said, hey, we need people. It was a really busy year, polar opposite from 98, 2002, where everybody was working. There were union books were empty. A friend of mine called up and said, we got like 2 weeks of worth of work. If you want to come and get your foot in the door, it's just 2 weeks. It's on the rundown. They called it El Dorado.
The rundown with the rock?
Yeah, it was called, yeah. And then when it was released, they always do assume
Right, exactly.
It's not really what the Avengers was called Mary Lou.
Mary Lou.
I'm working on the coolest film, and then some Mary Lou badge I'm running around with. You know.
I love that.
Oh,
Yeah. So anyway,
exclusive right here on Con Artist.
For real. I love hearing the names of what people use for when they're going to hotels and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Well, especially things that are recognized, like Spider-Man was Summer of George, because we spent the summer in Georgia. I assume. And the first Avengers, that was called Group Hug, because that's when all the characters were coming together, so that was called Group Hug Productions.
I am in heaven right now hearing this.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, and then what was it? It was, I think, Guardians 2 was Level Up. Like Volume Up, Volume 2.
Yeah.
Level Up, that's what it's called. So
Heck
it's really,
yeah.
I don't know who does, but it's the people when they put together LLCs,
Yeah, right.
so they're just temporary. And so when the movie's done and in the can, those LLCs go away, and then their contracts are null and void at that point, and then they can talk about whatever I want.
Heck yeah.
Might not get hired back on the next ones, but
What you have, though, that's
I've had
the
a good
thing.
run.
That's why you're a free agent now.
I did 8 films in a row with them guys. So yeah, it was Guardians, or actually the first Thor, and then the first Avengers, and then there's about a 3-year gap. I was working for other productions, and then from Guardians Volume 2, and then just overlapped everything right up to Endgame, and it just came out. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Good 3-year run just of 12-hour days, 6 days a week.
So, but you don't even watch these movies because you're just so.
Yeah, I do. I actually, the Endgame was, my girlfriend took me to see it with her son, so yeah, I get there and I'm like, yeah, okay, I remember that day. It's really, it's actually cool. It's just, we're in the trenches. It's not the red carpet affair that you see when they premiere them in Hollywood. We're in the
Well, that's
trenches.
Yeah, 'cause I've always-
covered head to toe in some kind of toxic chemical and gloves up the ear. My hands in some kind of goo that'll set me on fire anymore.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah, I wonder what it was like with the prop life, because back in the day when Smallville was on the air, I knew a lot of prop makers, and they had molds and stuff and would sell the props and keep some of my favorite pieces for myself and stuff. And I always wondered what it was like to make something and then go back and watch and see how everything came together. You know, how interesting is that for you guys?
That is really cool. That's probably the most interesting thing. I'm glad you brought it up, is because by the time these movies come out, I will have maybe worked on 2 or 3 other ones, because there might be 2, typically a year, but sometimes 2 years. So I've some of this stuff completely forgotten about.
Right.
I'll see it on the screen, and like I was joking about that, but I'll go, I remember that day, and it might be with a smile, or it might be, but you know, it is. because when you're making the movie, it's not what the movie's about. It's about what I was experiencing, and after hours hanging out with the buddies and the locations I was at. And Avengers, the first one we were in Albuquerque, and that was kind of cool hanging out in Albuquerque. So it's a whole different story for me because I'm watching the movie unfold, but I'm remembering what I personally was doing.
Right.
And it was going on maybe 2 years earlier. So
wow.
That's
a different.
That's like me as a comic creator because I remember the pages when they're created, and I remember the people when they write it and draw. And people are like, oh, I remember this story, and I'm like, I remember when I wrote it or when I saw the pages come back, and I'm in the trenches too. So
months later.
Yeah, exactly.
Later,
so it's like years later, and I'm like, so I don't remember about the stories about it. I remember the experience that we've gone through.
You were doing
right. That's so magical.
So we're gonna cut to our sponsors right now.
Heck
We'll be
yeah.
back in a second. We got Ronnie Riggs on the horn. Awesome dude. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back to Con Artists. It's Lawrence White with Chris Newhart. We're with Ronnie Riggs, Master Marvel Man himself. So Ronnie, sitting back and talking. So what do you use? What's your tools? What do you? Like I said, I met you at my day job, and we're blue collar guys. So what do you use to make all this magic?
Well, we start with whatever it is, the model. That's when I say model. A lot of people think it's miniatures, and in my line, when a model is the original piece, like that right there. I molded this. And then,
pull it down, man. Let's see.
Yeah, this is
you guys might recognize this. I think we covered this in Comic Con.
This actually had screen time, and this was
wow.
this was Jim Carrey's.
Let me touch it.
Yeah.
Let me touch.
That's Jim Carrey's Riddler.
That's beautiful.
Jim Carrey's Riddler, man.
And it's kind of Jim Carrey's a tall guy, so you can see this is a little bit taller than a normal king. Cause he's about 6'4", so
right.
I actually sized that for him.
Oh wow!
And then I molded that, so that would be what would be called a model. And then I molded. That's that mold right there. And then I cast them in here thing.
Can we show that?
Yeah.
Can we grab that?
Oh, you want to grab that? Yeah, you can pull it out. I'd have to take the bolts out. I think I tightened them down. So
oh, look at that, man. Let's go. Jesus, that's heavy.
Yeah, that's a.
Wow.
Feel that. Dude, lift it up.
Let's pull that silicone
Lift it.
that I vacuumed out.
Wow.
Dang.
For real.
Yeah, so
My parts.
right there. That's. I put a funnel in here, and then I actually
See that?
So that's the head of the cane, and then this is the bottom. And then,
Wow.
Dude, that is solid, man.
I got a bolt.
I'm like-
Open it up. I get some pictures.
I could work out on this thing.
Am
Am I lying, Philip?
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's
Wait.
Bomb,
that's
dude.
part of my day is rustling those things around.
So that's why you're so healthy.
That's why you have bigger
Now
muscles.
that's solid fiberglass.
That's fiberglass with a silicone.
Silicone
the mold
base,
itself
yeah.
is silicone in there. That the fiberglass is actually a jacket, and then the mold itself is the pink silicone. You see these holes right here. I have some photos I can give you. This I have to get some wrenches to.
That's like
Take
at least
that
70 pounds, though.
Yeah.
I lifted.
Yeah, there was two, maybe like 4 gallons in here total, with 8 pounds a gallon plus the resin. So
It's amazing.
you're looking at
So how do you know this stuff? How do you look at that and say, okay, it's going to take you 40 gallons of silicone to pour into this?
Well,
thing?
that's kind of an easy thing to do. I cheat. There's a method to get that shape. I actually will take that cane and lay it, put a piece of wood on it because I'm only going to mold one half and flip it over and mold the other.
Oh, that's cool.
I do a clay. I lay clay on it and make this shape right here. Make these keys in it and whatnot. Then when I'm getting ready to pour it, I pull this off. I take that clay out and I'll actually pound it down into a bucket, one of these, and then I just pour that much silicone in there. And
So simple.
So simple. There's some mathematical methods, but I'm not going to do that.
That's
So much
cool.
clay will equal so much silicone. It's like, no, it's there in the bucket, so I'll bring the silicone to there, and it probably will fill that void.
Heck yeah.
That's
You got
cool.
done waiting to
Yeah.
eyeball it.
And then we weigh everything out. As far as the catalyst, I have to weigh it. That's what that blue scale is there, and then I catalyze it at 10%, and that's what that red jug is right there. That silicone catalyst. That's why it turns pink.
Oh, okay.
It's a
That's
white
so badass.
base, It's really thick, and the silicone it's got consistency of like honey.
Oh, wow.
Very, very viscous, thick, and then you catalyze and mix it up, and then it goes into the vacuum. There's the infamous meeting for Lawrence and I vacuum the silicone.
It all comes back to that.
After he lost me a half hour ago, I'm the genius.
It got my vacuum to work.
That's what's up.
I know fittings. I can look at it, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch compression. That's what I know. Everything you explained 20 minutes before, I have no idea what you're talking about.
That he got working.
No, I'm cool with that.
About 10 minutes, and like I said, we spent about an hour and a half talking about everything but vacuum pumps and fittings.
And speaking of props, like, what's one of the like maybe horrific prop you've worked on, or busiest set that you had to make a whole bunch, or you mentioned you were covering some stuff, or whatever? What was one of the most things that really sticks out to you that was really wild?
What's your most famous prop?
Oh, most famous? Geez, I'd have to think back. I got quite a few hero shot stuff. My very first one, when I had my little business, it was my first prop I made for a film, and it was 30 feet wide. It was on Austin Powers, the second one, the spy that was at the...
It's by the Shaggy?
Shaggy. So at the beginning of that, he jumps into it, he does that tumble flip and lands in his car.
Yeah!
It's got the Union Jack painted on
Yeah!
it. And they zoom in, and it says Shagwire on the back.
Yeah!
I made that.
Yes!
Wow.
You heard it here first.
I've made a lot more cooler things than that since then, but that was my first
But that's
one.
pretty. That's pretty.
That's
epic.
why you're one of the things you're most proud of.
30 feet wide. It was that big in my hand.
I love it.
Now I look at stuff and I'm like, yeah. No, I
So
the past is
awesome.
still there.
Yeah.
We're always in the trenches, so I can't really know anything. I've literally made thousands of things I've forgotten 90% of them.
But you never forget that first.
That first
The
one.
Jaguar.
What a
watch
first
that
way
movie
to
tonight.
go.
Jaguar. I had that model, the Model A. I
Yeah,
carried it around
awesome.
for years, and it disappeared and never on my many moves. I don't know where it went. Anyway, yeah, that's the most memorable one, just because it was the first one. And first prop, first out of the gate,
That's
and
awesome,
I got a
man.
hero shot. So that was kind of cool.
I remember laughing at it in the movie theater when I saw it because I loved Austin Powers.
Yeah.
That's my humor.
Yeah.
For real.
It's definitely those were great.
Man, so through all the Marvel movies and all the stuff that you've done, I mean, you're accomplished when you've done all this stuff and you just like forget what you've done.
Yeah.
But it means to everybody else. I mean, we're sitting here with Superman shirts. I'm a comic geek. I have 40,000 comics sitting at home.
Wow.
So I sit there and I watch all this stuff come to fruition, and it's just amazing when I watch the people that create this stuff and have a passion to, like molds. Like you explained, that mold lost me. The only thing I understand was pipe fittings. And it's amazing that. I love how creative minds think, and the way we met and the way we talked, and it's cool that we can all come and gel and just geek out and talk about what we do. So man, that's cool stuff.
Yeah.
And me and Ronnie, but Ronnie can walk into my business tomorrow and it's like, hey dude, how you doing? It's like, I've met comic creators, and I've met a lot of famous people. I guess famous in the sense that we do this for a living. But the one thing I really enjoy is that we all come together as fans and to help each other out and to be, how can we help each other?
Exactly.
I can write, I can draw, you can mold, I can put stories together, I can edit, I can do all this stuff. And we just have there's a collection of people behind the scenes that nobody sees in the movies. Everybody knows the Robert Downey Jr.'s and the Chris Evans of the world and all this stuff. But all that stuff doesn't show up until somebody behind the scenes draws it out, molds it out, creates it, pours it into a 70-pound, between silicone and all this stuff that I have no idea what it does. I mean, that's where the magic is for me.
Yeah.
So to hang out with people like that, it means the world to me.
And it's just amazing how many people, when I got involved, there's just how many people really, there's every trade is involved in filmmaking, everything. And it's just, for every person you see on that in those screen credits, there's probably 100 people that didn't get a credit. Literally thousands of people, and it starts years before one camera rolls, which exactly. Storyboards and conceptual art to the finite, which I work directly, because I'm a mold maker. I work directly with the production designers and the art directors, because they'll come over and look at something and say, "Can you change this?" And I'm like, "Well, I already have a mold of it, so no."
Well, it's like me
I
and I
can start
draw
over. I
something.
can do
Yeah,
that.
I draw something in ink, and they say, "Oh, we need to change his arm to go up this way." I'm like, you realize I have to redraw the
Start
whole
the
thing.
whole- yeah,
For
Right? You
real.
know that,
Can't
right?
just move that.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't
like-
take that silicone and make it tweak another.
Exactly.
It is what it is. So
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
start over. Well, can you do that by the end of the day?
Oh, sure.
No.
But see, that's what I like about Ronnie, because we can relate. It's like,
Yeah.
it's precision. I mean, you put all this stuff into a cast or ink or anything else, and oh yeah, change this.
It's in some
Yeah.
in ways.
Thanos, that's Thanos, that shit.
Yeah. In ways, it's a compliment because they know that no matter what, we'll pull it off. And go, yeah, well, okay, just make that happen, and they walk away. They weren't my weekend plans. But anyway, they trust us, and we always pull it off, and then they come and they tell us how good we did. So that's all that matters. It ends up on the screen, and when it's not on the cutting room floor, obviously you did it right. So
Yeah, that's
like
cool.
like that helmet you made. Like, what's some of the and something like that? How much time does it go into making something like that? That size?
First, explain the helmet, because
Yeah.
this
I'm rubbing this like this is the coolest thing ever.
This is not cleaned up. It's rough right out of the mold. This was from Chronicles of Riddick. I didn't work on that film. This was actually a friend of mine gave it to me. This is a Necromonger helmet. So this is the version that Vin Diesel actually wore when he sneaks back into the temple. I'm not a real expert on Chronicles of Riddick, but this is the actual version. And he kind of looks back and you see his glowing eyes, and somebody recognized him. It was this actual version that he had on his head. This is fiberglass.
Let me rub it.
Be careful. That's very sharp right
That's
there. 'Cause
good.
it's
Yeah,
not cleaned up.
fiberglass. Yeah.
It's right out of the mold.
So here's the other cool thing is that it wasn't Chronicles of Riddick, but it was Pitch Black. It was storyboarded by Jason Brubaker, a buddy of mine. We started out drawing in the back of Bob Beeson's comic shop back in Idaho, and he storyboarded the first Pitch Black. So hold this, Jason Brubaker, if you're watching this, man, look what you helped create.
How much time do you think goes into a piece like that
Well,
size?
this was hand sculpted, so it would have taken a sculptor in clay to probably, I would say, 3-4 days, of 12-hour days. To
Yeah.
sculpt. And
But look at the detail on that.
then molding something like that, that's for me, that would take at least 2 days, if not 3, 12-hour. And then you got cure times for the silicone. That's a 12-hour. Once you pour the silicone on one half, it's got to cure for 12 hours. And so that's 3 days. That probably represents 2 weeks of work just to get, and then a couple hours probably to lay it up in fiberglass, about an hour, probably about an hour to get in and then back out of the mold.
Yeah.
But that represents, design and everything, years, months, whatever, but the sculpt to getting apart probably a couple of weeks.
Heck yeah.
That's cool, guys. Hey, we got to cut again. Hey guys, welcome back to Con Artists. We've been hanging out with Ronnie Riggs. He just took us down to his to the vault so we could see a bunch of stuff that we couldn't put on film as far as collectibles, and we're all geeking out.
For real.
That was awesome.
We got big smiles, you know
Oh,
why?
man. We'll put some pictures up on our social media what we saw, but we can't talk about it right now. But Ronnie's the bomb is what we're gonna say. Is that awesome, Chris?
For real. Yeah, one of the things we were wondering is, like, with all the props and stuff, like, if a prop breaks on movie set, is that something you guys obviously prepared for? And is there a story of, like, do you guys shut down and have to do it right then and there? Or can you keep filming and work on it and then come back to it? Or how does that kind of work?
Well, when it comes to any kind of prop like that, it's redundant. We make many, and if there's a hero weapon that actually has moving parts and everything, there's probably 3 or 4 different versions of that. There'll be a lightweight foam version that they can just run around with, or there'll be a foam one because somebody's going to get hit with a soft foam one. So there'll be multiple versions of that. So, and we make many. So they are going to get broke. We always assume. So there's always enough. So because the cameras keep rolling. If they got to stop because something is destroyed, and they got to wait for us to make another one. We did something horribly wrong, but we do a lot of things that are designed to break. You know, the ball panels people go into and they want to leave an impression. So it's a special kind of plaster that you mix it and it fluffs up, and then it's really soft, and then we cut it into whatever shape they want, so a guy can fly into it and then leave an impression. And then we always have the extra stuff laying around because we want to reset it, so we'll have a complete set piece. So once they do that shot, they cut, and then they bring that next one in if they want to do another shot. So we're always ready, you know, and everything's redundant and backed up, because now they can't shut down production because one of our props broke.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not coming back on the next one. But that's a big process, and some of that can be a lot of pressure, because they'll come to us and say, "Here's the model. We need this molded, and we need 6 of them, and it's shooting next Wednesday. And we got to get it molded, made, and it's got to be painted and on set in 4 or 5 days." So the pressure's on us before the cameras even show up.
Yeah.
But we
That's
make
cool.
sure everything's covered, and so.
So I gotta ask. So one of my favorite scenes ever is when Hulk gets hold of Loki. Did you film that part?
We did.
Yes! I
did.
knew it.
That was in Albuquerque, and those tiles when he's getting slammed.
Yeah.
Around, that was actual mechanical piece that they did a sculpt of Loki's back, and then we made that out of fiberglass, and then they had we made those tiles out of that pyrostone, what it's called. Those black tiles, we put them on the ground. Though those impressions were already built into the floor, so we just covered it with that breakaway plaster, and then they had a mechanism that just hit the ground and would shatter it. So the only thing that was going on set was this mechanism hitting, and then of course they added the Hulk and Loki and the CG later.
Right.
The actual tile breaking was actually happening.
Wow.
Wow, that is so cool.
So, yeah, we did do that.
I see.
Heck
I see.
yeah.
As an artist, I draw this stuff out, but the mechanical side, it blows me away, because you're doing the after effect. So
yeah,
I can't believe I'm talking about Thor.
For real, and I can't believe I'm sitting here talking about this stuff, because my mom used to make miniatures, and so as a kid, I'd watch her make all kinds of stuff, food, houses.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle worked for NASA, so he actually did all the electrical wiring, so you could turn a fan on, or a little TV, or refrigerator light, or whatever.
Cool.
So to go from seeing my mom making that to talking to you about this kind of stuff is really awesome. Like,
it's cool. We're geeking out, dude.
It's movie magic, especially shots like that when they're effect shots like that. That's an all-day thing, maybe 2 days, and that's all you're doing is that we're breaking tile, and then we clean that up and then slide another one, gently set it in place, and then they do a few more cuts. And then when they blend it all together, it's a few seconds, but that may have been 2 or 3 days that we were doing that, and it was just that. That's all we were doing for 2 or 3 days, and then when it blends all together.
But there's a lot into it, and it surprised me. It only took 2 or 3 days. I mean, you think about it, you see that part.
That was the filming. I mean, making the actual the tiles and everything, and the mold for all that. That was probably 2 or 3 weeks of work just making those breakaway tiles, and then
awesome.
it was 1 day of filming for the actual mechanical, but building the rig and all of that, to do all of that that itself was weeks of work.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. But still, it's amazing how they put it all together. Though.
Yeah.
It's
we kind of know what's going on because we see the storyboards, but until I see the finished version when the digital guys get in there and they put the Hulk in there and Loki in there, I say, wow.
The storyboards are easy because for me as a designer, you know, it's a matter of just sketching it out.
Sure.
But for somebody to take that and logistically put it into, you know, special effects shots, that's the magic to me. Man. That's crazy. That's crazy cool. So after the pencil and the inks, to actually put it into place, that's where the magic for me is. Because to draw, it's the easy part. So somebody else to take it and make it technical, you know, or CGI, or have a break, in an actual physical, form on a camera in real life. That's amazing. I don't know how those guys do that.
It starts with design though, and I'm just equally impressed when I see the art department and they come in and they're making this stuff up. All I have to do is just bring it into the real world, but they've dreamt it up, and I don't have that creativity. I can make it.
Now, see, that's amazing for me because from the other side, because I think it would be the harder for the other side. They're saying on paper. See, that's the cool thing about it. I always work with synergy, and the one thing, me and Chris started a business where we be creators together because. I'm sitting online and I try to create. It's online. I'm still in touch with my team, but the thing is though, the synergy is when you all sit down and you figure it out together.
Mm.
So we storyboard, we write, we do everything like that. So when I have somebody in production that says, oh well, once it's already drawn up, it's easy. Well, on the other side, I'm like, how are they going to do this, man? Because my imagination is limitless, and I put it on paper. It's like then there's a budget to it. How are you going to put that with that budget and make it work? Because because you can get crazy when you're just drawing it.
Luckily, I don't have to figure all that out. Give me something to say we want it to do this, and okay.
But that's alien to me for the production to say that's easy. You already drew it. I'm like, I already drew it. How are you going to make it come to life? That's cool. That's what I love about
technology. So.
Yeah, that's
cool. That's why it's a big group. And that's why I say the film industry, it's just amazing because it's like by the time I get on it, it's already 2, 3, 4 years of people working, to get it, so I can do my part to get it on screen, and it's just mind-boggling how much goes into a single film,
Yeah.
From concept design to where you're sitting in the theater watching, it's just. For me, now that I'm involved, I just go, wow, because there's so much happens after I've done, after the camera stopped rolling. There's tons of stuff that needs to be done. There's got to be music scores put into it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Editing is, and they got to bring people in for ADR for looping and re-record their dialogue, and it's just so, that's why it's usually a couple of years. We literally started on Infinity War in, it was spring of 2016.
Wow.
It just came out last summer. And we were working on Endgame as well. They were going. So, 3 years ago.
Wow.
And the design of that probably started 5 or 6 years prior to that. It was a culmination of 22 films for Marvel from Wave 1 to the end of Wave 3, which they're calling Endgame.
So Phase 4 is going to be like, I think it's going to be like Black Widow.
Phase 4, that's why they kind of had that, spoiler alert, scene with the women in Endgame come together. That I went and did reshoots.
That was the part you told me.
Reshoots,
you told me the landscape, and I said I already know. And actually, my ex-girlfriend now, she goes, "You met the guy from Avengers?" He said, "Yeah." You told me a scene. You explained the scene. I know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Don't tell me."
Yeah.
And I was right, man. I saw the movie. I was right.
That's the setup for all the female Avengers are going to be doing their own thing. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Yeah. And to see what they do. Interesting what they do with
A-Force, by the way. Welcome back to Con Artist. We've been sitting here with Ronnie, having a great day, just talking shop. About ready to wrap it up. So, Ronnie, what are you working on now?
Well, right now I'm just on the side, outside of the film industry. I partnered up with Del Snyderhand with Shadowcrest Design. He makes, for the most part, he does cosplay sabers and whatnot, and does a lot of etchings and really beautiful work and everything. So him and I and another guy, don't know if he wants me to mention his name yet, so I won't. But he's a 3D designer and 3D printer. So we're stepping up the cosplay props, and we're going to start bringing film quality type props into cosplay, and we're going to sometime this year.
And we talked about this at FanX, so people who comes from cosplay that wants props made, that we can send them to you.
Yeah.
And and all this stuff. We'll have this interview going on. We'll have all the information down below. We're going to add that in. So we tried to shoot the card last time to get a full shot, but we're going to add all that in there. So we'll make sure everybody gets credited, and then send you. If you're a cosplayer, especially in Utah, if you need props, we got the man and the men, the dudes. So we'll make sure you get everybody contacted to whoever, and anything we can do to connect, network, also do for charity. We're going to do all this stuff, and it's going to be awesome. So we can do showcase your cosplay and all that stuff with the props, and also make sure Ronnie makes a living at it too, and me and Chris will just be a network. So if you come to us, we'll come to that, and if anything's extra, donate to charity that we produce, and that we're working with, and help out the cause. So
For real.
Perfect.
And before we go, what's some advice you would give to people that are trying to follow in your footsteps and really love the art of prop making in one way or another? What kind of advice would you like to give to them?
And never give up. It's, you know, you got to kind of find that lucky break, which I had a business that connected me, and it was kind of an unorthodox way. So it's hard for me to tell people, go start a business and
Yeah, go to college, go
get
do
your degree.
that.
Yeah, I know.
Basically, the point is to just go out and do it,
Just do it
and just see what happens.
Don't stop. It's just when you're moving, you're perpetuating that energy, and when you're thinking about it, and it's just what you want to do, you'll run into, like Lawrence and I ran into each other, you know, because I needed some parts for my vacuum chamber over there. It's just
it has nothing to do with my passion is writing and drawing comic books. So I just sell plumbing parts. So I meet Ronnie. Here we are talking about movie props.
That's what I say. Just move, network, talk, you know, and
Follow your heart and your dreams.
Just keep going. And you're gonna, you know, there's a lot of disappointment, and I've been successful, but there's disappointment all the time for me in this industry, you know, and it's hard work. And
you gotta have that passion for it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like me. I write and draw comic books. There's no gold watch at the end when I'm done, but you do it because you love it, and that's it. And you just, you know, licensing and all the other money side, it's gonna come, you know, but maybe not. You do it because you love it.
Right.
You don't do it because of the money aspect,
exactly.
right? It's got to be in your blood, right?
Yeah, if you approach it that way, it's not going to happen. The passion part of it is definitely what drives you, because it's not an easy road, and it's if the passion isn't there, you'll give up on it. You know, that's just the way it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But without the monetary and the money and everything else, you'd still do it, right? I know
absolutely.
you would. Yeah, see, that's it. Me too. I'd still write and draw.
This room we're sitting in, all this all came out of my pocket. I haven't made it out of this yet. It's because I
that's passion for what you like to do, right there.
For real.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So I think after an hour or two, we distill it down to, if you love it, do it. That's the simple thing.
That's the whole point of it.
In my 30s, I had an opportunity to start over in life, and I was like, might as well do what I wanted to do as long as I can remember, and it just worked out, you know.
Heck yeah.
And when you ask that question, I really don't know why it did. You know, I can't say it just suddenly. And it was 2003. I got the first phone call in November 2002, but 2003 it just took off, and 10 years later, I was looking back and went, how did that happen? It was just, you know, there it was with some screen credits, and it's like, wow, okay.
But that's just cool because, you know, I look at movies as that there's a writer side or the storyboard side or the creative side. I mean, and you're looking at the special effects, the explosions and the special effects. I mean, it's cool how you know, like minds look at it different ways. And,
Sure.
and that's what makes it all happen.
Yeah.
So
That's
amazing.
That is the film industry. There's different minds, different talents coming together, and just make
different passions.
Different passions. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Ronnie, appreciate all your time, man.
Thank you.
You're my
Appreciate
friend, my bro. I'm glad to meet you at my hardware store.
My pleasure. Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you for having us here. This is a great pleasure and honor, and a great way to spend the day.
Yeah.
And for me too. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Heck yeah.
We're going to give a shout out to Legacy League Productions, Soul Central TV, Soul Central Magazine, Guerrilla Mafia. Chris, what do you always say at the end?
Go global or stay local.
Peace.
Much love and respect.